Welcome back to Almost Live in LAX, your student-informed opinion show about the news that you can use, current events going on, and why students should care about from the students who know what's going on. We'll be right back with the intro.
Welcome back to this year's first edition of Almost Live in LAX. I am Amber Meyer.
And I'm Peter Lenz.
I'm Lindsay Zess. Starting with national news, abandoning negotiations, President Donald Trump demanded a make-or-break vote on healthcare legislation in the House, threatening to leave Obamacare in place and move on to other issues. And after Friday's vote, the plan was denied. The risky move and part threat was presented to GOP lawmakers behind closed doors last Thursday night. After a long and intense day that saw a planned vote on the health care bill scrapped as the legislators remained short of votes, House Speaker Paul Ryan said that for 7.5 years we have been promising the American people that we will repeal and replace this broken law. Because it's collapsing and failing families, Friday's outcome was unable to be predicted. And in danger for Republicans, the Quinnipiac poll found that Trump's handling of health care was viewed unfavorable by 6 in 10.
Wow.
This whole entire situation was kind of interesting to me, a big part because the Republicans talked so long about how badly Obamacare was done and how much better that they would have done at it and how they could improve it, and just to see how they went about it was interesting to me.
Right.
And also to see Donald Trump, this was one of his first very big deals. He was supposed to be a big deal maker, and I thought that he did a solid job, but at times I think he could have sealed the deal a little bit better. What do you guys think?
I agree, and I also think that one of the things that Trump wanted to do the most is just kind of, redo everything that Obama did, because I just feel like he's got such a bitter taste in his mouth just because he wasn't a fan, and so I feel like rather than working to amend the act and help the American people, he was more focused on just kind of replacing it with something that he stood for rather than something that Obama stands for,
I think that number is a little shocking too, 6 in 10. To be
It's
honest,
very
I thought
high.
it was, I thought it would be different though, due to, I think it's about 24 million people that will be without health care
Yes.
if they try to go further with this and, they cancel Obamacare and go on with something else and stuff. And I think that's a very striking and scary number to a lot of people, because anything can happen, with your health. And I think that for someone not to have health care, that's a very scary thing for someone.
Most definitely.
I do think it was kind of a good idea on Trump's part to pull the bill instead of letting it go to a vote, because I think it would have been maybe just not overall more negative for the Republican Party to see it go to a vote. So I think that was a very good move on his part. But also was interesting to hear Paul Ryan's quote of Obamacare is now the law of the land.
That was very interesting,
It was quite interesting to see that now is the law of the land, but I do think that they'll give another try at it, and I hope that they do succeed, because no one can say that Obamacare doesn't have its troubles, and I would love to see them have a better solution in the end, because
I agree.
The American people won.
And I do think, at some point that's definitely going to happen. I don't think that just because Paul Ryan said that Obamacare is the law of the land, it's not going to be around forever. It's going to be amended in some way. They're going to try and replace it again, and I fully expect to see the Republican Party come through with something hopefully better.
Better for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Better for one is better for all.
Exactly.
But hey, let's get talking about some other stuff. So here's my first story. On March 25th, the new travel restrictions on direct flights to the United States and the UK from several Muslim-majority countries took effect. This restriction requires electronic devices larger than a cell phone be placed in checked baggage. For U.S. citizens, this restriction affects 10 airports from 8 different countries, including Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, and the UAE. This has caused a large amount of complaints from travelers flying out of Istanbul's Ataturk Airport, which has been spending years building its position as an international hub. According to Turkish Airlines, more than half of international passengers using Turkish Airlines are transit customers who could travel through any other European airport all over. Some critics say the ban creates unfair competition, while others say at the same time security measures are much more important than passengers' comfort. Now, I think that there are very good points on both sides of this, so I want to ask what you guys think at first.
To be honest, I really haven't heard all too much about this. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know. I really haven't heard much at all, you know, but I did catch, you know, things are happening over where you had just studied abroad, you know, so it holds a little bit of a personal interest for you, huh? Yeah.
Yes, I think it's really interesting because on both sides, there are a lot of things that are going on in this country. Security is the most important reason, but at one point, sometimes you have to worry about freedoms and personal rights. But I think overall that this is a good thing to happen for the reason that most planes these days, they really have a lot of entertainment in there. You'll have screens right in front of your face. So if you really are throwing a big fit about not being able to bring your laptop or your iPad because you need to get a bunch of work done, number one, who really gets work done in planes? Nobody. You sleep or you are uncomfortable the entire time and you end up watching a movie anyways. So, and I don't know, at one point I really think that you just need to think about the safety overall of the betterment of everyone.
Yeah, and I think it is worrisome too because, you know, you go on a plane and you see somebody pull out their tablet or laptop and stuff like that, and to be honest, sometimes I haven't really listened either when they're like, put your stuff away or put it on airplane mode, you know, because you think, what's going to happen? Or, you know, what could happen if I just don't put my cell phone, you know, on airplane mode and stuff, and, you know, you wouldn't want that to something to actually happen in a cause of that for people not doing something like that. So I would agree. I think that that's something great if we all put our laptops away, phones, something like that, and put them in our luggage. I don't know.
I agree. I don't really think it's that hard of a thing to do. You know, I mean, you're talking about your rights versus like your personal safety. You know what I mean? And I'd rather, you know, have to put away a cell phone or a laptop for just, you know, a bit of time instead of, you know, having to have my personal safety at risk, you know?
Right. And it's fairly short flights anyway that I feel like you would be taking, and if not, like you said, they've got movies, they've got all sorts of stuff.
Exactly. All right, now should we move on to the next story, folks?
I think we should.
All right, so now I have another national story as well. So this last Friday, March 24th, Joe Biden told students at Colgate University's Kirshner Family Global Leaders Series that he would have won the 2016 election. Prompted by a question asking if he regrets not running for president, Biden said he thinks he could have won, but the Democratic primary would have been very difficult. Biden continued to tell the students about his son Beau's battle with brain cancer and the impact that had on his campaign. Biden said that no one should run for president unless they can promise the American people 100%, and with his personal life, he was not able to give just that. Biden elaborated on his honesty by saying, "On a college campus, I will never do anything other than answer the question completely unvarnished and straightforward." You know, I hold a lot of respect for Joe Biden to be as upfront and honest as he was, you know, in that time, because I absolutely adore Joe Biden, you know, and I agree. I think he very well may have won if he had run, but I do think that it was a good decision for him with all of the happenings, you know, with his son and all that kind of stuff for him to choose not to, you know, possibly wait till 2020, you know, I guess we'll see.
I just want to agree, I am a huge fan of Joe Biden, one of my favorite people, and I do think that he would have made a great president, but I think the facts are that the reasons that he would be a good president are the reasons that he didn't run for president.
Yes.
He had reasons in front of him, and he knew that he would have had a lot of distractions, and to be the best leader that he could be, he wouldn't have been able to do that at the time with his son going through cancer.
He had other priorities and, you know, knew that those were ahead of doing something like this. And I also think it's funny, too, because we look at kind of the media and how the media portrays, you know, who could have possibly won, you know, for presidency, and, you know, who was ahead, who was not, who was subjected to win and stuff. And I think the media portrays a lot of stuff that, you know, we don't see, and that a lot of people thought, I think, that Hillary was going to win. You
Most
know,
definitely,
I worked election night, and it was very tense in there, and I don't know, it's just very, very interesting to hear, you know, people's views and see what the media, you know, like you said, Joe Biden could have won, and Bernie, any of those people, you know, it's just, it's very interesting to see how situations like this play out.
I also think, you know, for Joe Biden to be seated as he is in American politics, for him to say he would have won for sure, you know, it's a bold statement, my friend.
But I do like he quoted off that at the end, and he said, you know what, I was as truthful as I was because I was on a college campus, and I would never lie to college students or anything like that.
I like
Just gotta respect the guy.
Yep.
So, well, hey, we came at you with some national news, but I bet you're wondering, why? I'm a college student, what am I doing here? We'll come at you with the next segment, but first you gotta check out those adorable pets over at Perfect Pets.
Hello, I'm Zelda. I love affection and being around humans and other cats. Oh yeah. right there.
Hi, I'm Tucker. I'm the friendliest husky mix you'll ever meet. I love getting attention, running around, and snuggling. Oh, that tickled.
Hi, I'm, oh god, hold on. Hi, I'm Zeke. I'm curious and adventurous, but a little timid at the same time.
Hi, I'm Finn. I'm energetic, happy-go-lucky, and would love to find an active forever home.
To find out more about adoption for these pets or others, contact the Cooley Region Humane Society at 781-4014.
Well, hello there. How were those perfect pets? Were they pretty cute?
Oh, adorable.
Those are some cute cats, kittens, and some pups in there as well. So like I said before, you came here for the news. You're a college student, hopefully. Maybe you're not a college student. If you're here for any sort of news, we've got you. We'll get you some local news in a bit, just gave you some national news, but now we really want to talk to you about why college students are sitting here in this climate, in this day and age, with this new government that, we haven't really gone through that many governments, while being aware of what's going on. So we really want to come here and just give you what we think as college students and what we think is going to affect us and how it's going to affect us. What do you guys think? Let's introduce ourselves. Like I said, my name is Peter Lenz. Take the floor, gentlemen.
Well, I'm Colin Malliott, and I'm a junior here at UW La Crosse, and I'm currently in the College Democrats, so I think that's why I sort of made my way to this interview. But I think it's going to be sort of a tumultuous, sort of interesting couple years going forward with the Trump administration.
I'm Sam McNaughton. I'm a senior here. I'm good friends with Peter Lenz. And I also agree with Colin's statement. I think we've never really seen a president like Trump before, kind of coming from that celebrity background, so I think it's going to be a very interesting and hopefully not too painful next 4 years.
But I think one way that we can make it the least painful is to have as many open conversations as we can about what's going on and keep aware of the different things that are happening in our very own country. And speaking of which, let's talk about something that is very applicable to anyone in life, and especially if you're a college student, and that's just plain and simple. That's just money. So one thing that might be changing a little bit, because we are getting a lot of money spent on our military, but another thing is that we are seeing some trims other places. And now, an effect that could happen on college students' finances, Trump's budget proposal for 2018 does keep the Pell Grant program, something that I know I get every single year, but it does reduce its funding by $3.9 billion. So, we still have it. Some students are still going to be getting it. And one thing it also does is it eliminates the FSEOG grant, which is the Federal Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant. And that's going to save $732 million. So one good thing, we're saving a lot of money as a government. But these proposed changes will possibly make it a little bit tougher for students, a little bit more money that they're going to have to pay back, a little bit less grants that they're going to just get for free. But these plans still need to be approved by Congress before they're implemented. So I guess, how would you guys really like Congress to vote on this one? Would you maybe like to get a new budget proposed that maybe helps out students a little bit? What's your guys' thoughts on this?
Personally, I think that on paper, it looks like a lot of money that we're saving, $732 million. But I think that it could be taken from someplace other than education or something like that. So I'd like to see them vote against this. I think that investing in the future, as far as education-wise, giving students the opportunity to actually go to college and make it more affordable for them to go to college, I think that that's more important budget-wise than, say, like you were talking about military spending or something like that.
Okay.
And I'm no expert, but I saw a bar graph of the budget, and it looked like the military portion was just eons longer than everything else. And I think that as a country, we spend more on military, even before this budget, than a lot of other world powers combined. And so, personally, as a Republican, I think it's kind of ridiculous to even amp up our military even more while, taking away money from students and stuff like that. And I just don't personally think that's a smart thing to do, but like I said, I'm no expert.
Yeah, and on the other hand, if we are going to be putting all this more money into our military, I would like to see maybe at the same time more global involvement with the military, things that we've been doing in our bases and NATO and UN and things like that. And we might not be seeing that. We are still in NATO, but I think I would love to see if we do keep cutting down on education, ramping in military, maybe we use that for a little bit of good worldwide. That's what I would really like to see. But another big thing about college is you get a whole bunch of different experiences. You get to meet a whole bunch of different people from different walks of life and different cultural backgrounds. And in the 2015 and 16 school year, Iran sent more than 12,000 students to study in the U.S., while countries like Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Syria each sent fewer than 2,000 students. Well, now, in the age of globalization, with the bans on travel and immigration and things like that, greatly reducing international students. I, for one of my friends from France that was studying in Wisconsin actually had to go home due to a change in the F1 visas. So how do you think that the loss of international students will affect college students' experience?
I mean, I definitely think it's where you're located and how it'll affect you. I don't think it's going to, I mean, for me personally, it doesn't affect me here at La Crosse, and I think for the majority of students, it probably doesn't affect them. We're not a super diverse school, but I mean, it definitely affects those kids living in those countries and who had dreams and aspirations to come here and study, and this ban definitely puts an obstacle in the roadblock, and something will have to get figured out.
Yeah, you mentioned your friend that that their visa got switched up, so they had to go home. I also had a friend from Somalia who is going through the same thing right now. He goes to UW-Madison, but it is sort of an interesting thing going forward, and it's kind of disconcerting. Like I was talking before, sort of this situation that we're kind of putting some students in, because many of those students, if they come here, they'll either go home and better the countries there after getting their education, or they'll stay here and take educated jobs and stuff like that, which I think is also very important. So it is kind of interesting going forward in that sense.
Yeah, so it's something that I think that would be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to ask one more question. We got a little bit more time now. So with Trump often spreads a message of a lack of trust in media, and oftentimes on his Twitter. Now, how do you think that's going to affect not only the climate in our political system, but at the same time, how do you think his Twitter behavior is going to affect accessibility of politicians in the future? Because that's one thing that I do think Trump is going to change, is his accessibility and his constant tweeting is going to really make it different the way that we contact our politicians.
I think that it's certainly it's good going forward. It opens up a channel that wasn't there for nationwide constituents being able to voice their opinions to him. But if I'm being honest, I think that the way about the lack of trust in media is a little dangerous especially for a president to say going forward. But I do think that as far as Twitter, he's using it well in a way that connects to a lot of different people that he wouldn't normally.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, Twitter and social media definitely reaches an entirely different platform of voters and a younger generation, but I think that the way Trump goes about his tweets and his use of social media is immature, to say the least, and I hope that maybe future politicians could learn from that and fact check a couple things before they take to Twitter in the wee hours of the morning. So hopefully they can learn from it.
Well, hey, you just heard a lot of opinions from some college students that know what's going on from a college student's point of view. Let's go check out what the Comm Club has to say to you guys.
Welcome back to Almost Live in LAX. Now we are going to kick it back off with some local stories. How does that sound?
That sounds great to me.
All right, so now for you guys that drive around La Crosse, and for those viewers that travel around 7th and Cass Street, your life is about to get a little bit less hectic. Construction of one of La Crosse's busiest streets gets underway this week. The project connects the intersections of Cass and 7th Street into one roundabout. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is in charge of the project and said the new system will make commutes much smoother. The project does bring some worry to the minds of business owners in the area. The construction will close Cass Street from 4th to 7th, concerning businesses over a lack of accessibility. To combat this, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation has set up detours for travelers to access the city. This project is going to cost around $2.3 million and will also include upgraded street lighting and utilities. So, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is lacrosse's first roundabout, isn't it?
It is. I did hear. We have, like, I've seen a couple. I think they're called traffic circles.
Very mini.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
okay,
really
yes.
small.
One
They're not
lane,
actual
yeah.
ones.
But it's not
just
a
like little
roundabout.
circular. No, I don't
Yeah.
think so. $2.3 million is kind of a lot for one roundabout there, and that street is very, very small. I feel like.
And it's also going to be only a one-lane roundabout, so they're not expanding it to multiple lanes.
Oh, it's
which
just the
I
one.
thought might they might do a two-lane roundabout because Cass Street over in that section, I believe, has 2 lanes going each way, does it not? Because
has the
there's a
one
section where you can
straight
turn
one
down the
left.
one way,
Yep.
or you can go straight to cross the bridge over into La Crescent.
Sure.
So I would have expected it to be a 2-lane roundabout, but I mean, I'm sure I'm not, a road architect or construction, whatever, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll work out. But it's just not quite what I expected. But I do think 2.3 seems a bit high, but then again, they are including street lighting and all of that kind of stuff.
Right. Do you know how long it's going to take for it to be done?
I believe I saw that it is supposed to be done by the end of the summer.
Okay.
Don't
'Cause
quote me on that.
I'm not a fan of construction. People
No,
having
and
to
that's a very busy
commute
intersection.
Other places, yeah, and stuff like that. That's just
Yes.
such a hassle.
Now-
but it's going to be good in the end once it's done.
It
but-
is. I also read actually just today, so couldn't include this story, but there's going to be construction over on 7th and La Crosse Street as well. So
What?
7th
What are they doing
Street-
there?
I don't know. I didn't look into it too much, but I know it's going to be construction, maybe a second roundabout. I didn't read too much, but there's 7th Street's really taking a hit over.
Wow.
Well, hey, like Pappy Lenz always told me, there's 2 seasons in Wisconsin. We've got construction season, we've got winter.
If that isn't the truest statement I've ever heard.
Well, hey, let's see what else is going on in La Crosse. A high school lunchtime. It's a place for friends, food, and fear. That is something that Will Olson learned the hard way last week. And if it wasn't for Ian Brown, he may not have stayed around to learn much more. It was your average lunch period when Ian noticed that his friend Will was experiencing some discomfort. Will then calmly walked right over, put his arms around his Olson's abdomen, pressed upwards several times, and dislodged the food right from Olson's airway. This video has gone viral around the country, with many people calling Brown a hero. Brown said he learned the technique in a youth program, but put on by the La Crosse Police Department, and is an ideal example of why everyone could benefit from learning some first skills. Good job, Ian. You are the Heimlich hero of the day.
That's an awesome story.
It really is. So I saw it picked up by, who did I see it first? I think I saw it picked up first by the Now This, company,
Sure.
whatnot. They cover little tidbits of stuff. I actually saw it picked up first nationally by them, but I did see it on Channel 8 the day that it happened because the kid that was choking, one of his parents, I forget which one, actually works over at Channel 8.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that's how the story was covered in the first place, even locally, and then all of a sudden everyone was like, wow, this kid's a hero,
It
and
was
so just
on
blew
Good
up.
Morning America, I
Yeah,
think. It was
yeah,
on
it's
Inside
huge.
Edition. That
USA
little
Today,
channel
I think
they
I
do.
saw.
Yeah, it was
It's absolutely
big.
huge. And it all started because, this kid's parent works at a station over here.
Yeah, and we had a funny story, or the kid was like, I don't want any recognition for this,
Yes.
I was just doing my job. I was just taking it,
Yeah.
Oh, here's the video now.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we've got the video up there
So you
right
can
now.
see him choking.
And he walks right over calmly,
Yeah.
and
He
he's
was
like,
so calm.
I know exactly what to
I
do.
would be a little nervous, I think. I just don't want to
Woo.
hurt somebody or make it worse, but
I-
that's awesome.
I worked for 3 years at a pool, and I had to do this a couple times, and I was still nervous.
Yeah.
And he walked over, he was just casually eating some cheese curds. That's what
I think it was Chinese.
No, it's Chinese.
It was
Yeah,
Chinese?
Okay,
actually.
people
Slow
got it
down on the
misconstrued.
Chinese.
Yeah.
People got it,
because
kind of
I
mixed
read
up,
cheese
but-
curds, and I was like, how,
Yeah, you're
I
gonna
think
To be honest, they assumed Wisconsin, they had to be eating cheese curds.
I think
Sorry,
that's what I
folks.
saw,
We
because
eat Chinese food too.
on USA Today, I read cheese curds, and they were like, well, Chinese food isn't funny. Wisconsin people eat cheese curds, right? Was
Yeah,
drinking
the
beer at
cheese
lunch?
To that.
And that's what I've learned from traveling, is that everyone all over the world, that's all they think of 3 things when you say Wisconsin: cheese curds, beer, and the Green Bay Packers.
Exactly.
Packers. Wow, I was right.
Yeah, I went to this restaurant over spring break, drove out to New York, and I go to this bar, and this guy's like, I don't know what to get you. I mean, you guys like cheese, right? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but there's more
Cheese
to me.
bowls.
Yeah.
Get you a bowl of cheese if you want. But, no, but let's talk about some more Wisconsin stuff that's going on.
Yeah, what do we got?
We have one more local story actually happening here on the UW campus. So, one UW La Crosse dispatcher was allegedly fired for supporting President Donald Trump after an employee complained, saying she stated all immigrants deserve to go back to where they're from. Kimberly Dearman was sent a letter asking to resign or to be terminated. After investigation, Dearman was later reinstated following comments the university deemed abusive and threatening. Chancellor Joe Gao said Dearman was not fired for her political opinions and stated, "We would never terminate employees for political beliefs. We follow a due process for employee firings based on job performance." Dearman is currently under a performance improvement plan for her previous actions, and the university has said no to request a settlement. Gao also added that no litigation is underway right now, and the university is currently just looking to move forward from this.
Wow.
I thought that this entire thing was quite an interesting situation, something that I don't typically read a lot about happening in the lacrosse climate.
I really hadn't either. I know I read an article written by one of the other local stations here about this situation, and it was the fact that she said this statement in front of a student that is actually, I think, either an immigrant or maybe a foreign exchange student. I'm not really sure. I can't remember what it was, but not a U.S. citizen. And she was obviously, offended by it, because she's like, I'm not a citizen. I work closely with you. Do I deserve to be, just like kicked out of here for no reason?
Yeah, I think anybody would be offended by a statement like that. And, for someone working as a dispatcher in the police department, you'd think that those people would be most understanding and for situations like so.
You would think. And then also, I was reading some statements from her attorney that's covering the case and trying to get more money from, the EW system. He stated that, if she's going to be reprimanded for a situation like this, then he basically equated it to, do you guys recall the email we received from Joe Gao, way back when? I forget exactly what it said, but it was something about how our university is going to stand up in the face of discrimination kind of thing. And he never explicitly stated, that this was a statement against Donald Trump's policies or anything like that, but people did take that as what he had implied. And so the argument by the attorney was that, if that's if that's how they're going to handle situations like this dispatchers, then they should handle things like with Joe Gao accordingly in the same type of manner. So what do you guys think about that?
I had heard that Joe Gao actually did not know anything about this situation until the attorney came into the picture. So I don't know if it was good on their part to allegedly say, you're terminated or quit, and then reinstate her after hearing about this. And I think it kind of blew up bigger than they had wanted. So I think they thought, we'll just reinstate her and get this all figured out, not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing, but them kind of being like, we're the good guys in this situation, more or less. She still has a job in that sort of situation, per se.
Most definitely.
I think one really good thing that we can take from this, one lesson that we can learn, especially in the climate that we live in right now, is that from what you just said, when you look at a situation and you take judgments on maybe one person in charge and think that in this some people might make a judgment upon Joe Gao, thinking that he did this because he's being a protectionist and he's keeping all the liberal college students safe. Joe Gao maybe had nothing to do with this. And maybe it's the same thing in a lot of the political...
He just has to handle the situations like this, and unfortunately he's the one that's the face of it type of thing.
Exactly. And he doesn't even see half these situations going on, and he did make a statement to another station that he wanted, if there was ever to be a situation like this handled, or if there's any case of employee termination for certain, misconduct like this, he specifically said, I want this paperwork to cross my desk before they're actually terminated, because he is the face of the university. So he is the person that people blame, so I completely understand that.
I think that also too, even since Dearman was reinstated, her image probably is hurt a little bit. I'm sure other employees and or students probably feel they can't go to her anymore, or hurt a little bit. So that also kind of is unfortunate for her.
Wow. All right. Well, I think we've had a pretty good show today. What do you guys think?
I think we've had a lot. We've learned a lot of lessons.
I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad the show is, back on air. It's been, what, almost a year?
It's been almost a year. I hope that you guys have missed us. I'm glad that you're glad to have us back doing some shows and things like that.
Yeah, it's been great. So when are we supposed to be on next? Do we know? It's a couple weeks.
It's on April 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. It's towards the end of April.
Okay. Are we going to be co-hosting together once again,
I hope
so. I feel like we make a great team, we should get jerseys.
And hey, any of you guys out there viewing, if you're seeing the show, maybe post it on YouTube later. In between now and then, go on WMCM's Facebook page, go on our Twitter, and leave a comment, leave a like, tell us what you'd like to hear, what you'd like to talk about in the next show. Hey, come on to the interview set, and you can talk to our viewers and see what's going on. Again, that's Facebook, WMCM, and Broadcasting Club.
Exactly, and the middle section here, the student intersection, if there's something that our viewers want to hear about, feel free to send recommendations, shoot us emails.
Or you want to tell us about more.
Exactly.
Something to bring light.
Exactly. Just feel free to contact anyone you really here at the station, and we can get you guys, hooked up, all right?
We're here. We are the students, here for the students, hanging out with the students. And hey, I'll say students one more time.
All right, is that it?
I think that was it. I think that's it. Well, hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. Again, I'm Peter Lenz.
I'm Amber Meyer.
And I'm Lindsay Zess.
We're almost live in LAX.